Jack Stone stretched in his pilot's chair, watching the endless stream of stars pass by his cargo ship's viewport. The small ship, named Lucky Star, wasn't much to look at, but it was his home. Its worn metal walls and humming engines had kept him company through countless cargo runs across the galaxy. "Another quiet day in space," he muttered, taking a sip from his coffee mug. The bitter liquid had gone cold hours ago, but he didn't mind. After 5 years of solo cargo runs, he had gotten used to cold coffee and quiet days. The ship's eye, which he called Tom, suddenly broke the silence. "Captain, I'm picking up something unusual." The eye's voice was calm, but carried a note of concern. Jack sat up straight, putting his mug down. "What kind of unusual, Tom?" "A distress signal, sir. It's coming from Sector 7, about 20 minutes from our current position." The AI displayed a red dot on the main screen, blinking slowly against the black background of space. "Show me the details," Jack said, leaning forward. The screen filled with information about the signal. It was coming from a luxury spacecraft, the kind that usually carried important people across the galaxy. Tom's voice carried a warning tone. "Captain, I should mention that there have been 3 pirate attacks in this sector in the past month. This could be a trap." Jack rubbed his chin, thinking. The smart thing would be to ignore the signal and continue his regular route. That's what most cargo pilots would do. But something about this felt different. "Play the distress call," he ordered. The ship's speakers crackled to life. Instead of words, a strange mix of sounds filled the cockpit. It was like nothing Jack had ever heard before. A combination of musical notes, electronic pulses, and what sounded like flowing water. "Tom, what am I listening to?" "It appears to be a combined distress signal, sir. I'm detecting 4 distinct patterns, each matching different alien communication methods. This is highly unusual." Jack's curiosity grew stronger. "Can you tell what kind of aliens?" "Based on the signal patterns, I detect signatures matching crystalline harmonics, photonic pulses, liquid data streams, and biorhythmic frequencies. These are all from highly advanced species, sir." The pilot tapped his fingers on the control panel. Pirates usually didn't bother creating such complex fake signals. It would be too much work for too little reward. This had to be real. "Tom, plot a course to the signal, but keep our shields at maximum and weapons ready, just in case." Course plotted. "I must note that this is against standard safety protocols, Captain." Jack smiled. "Since when have we ever stuck to standard protocols?" The Lucky Star changed direction, its engines humming louder as it picked up speed. As they got closer, Jack could see something in the distance, a large ship drifting in space. Its elegant design confirmed it was indeed a luxury vessel, but something was wrong. The ship's lights were flickering, and parts of its hull showed damage from what looked like weapons fire. "Life signs?" Jack asked, scanning the ship through his viewport. 4 distinct signatures, all very weak. They appear to be in some kind of stasis chamber, but the chamber's power is failing. I estimate less than 2 hours before complete failure. Jack felt his heart beat faster. This wasn't just a rescue mission anymore. It was a race against time. He hadn't become a cargo pilot to get rich or famous. He'd chosen this life because sometimes, out here in the vastness of space, you could make a real difference. "Tom, begin docking procedures, and get the medical bay ready. Looks like we're about to have company." As the Lucky Star moved closer to the damaged ship, Jack didn't know that this routine rescue would change not just his life, but the entire galaxy's future. Sometimes the biggest adventures start with the smallest decisions. The docking clamps locked with a heavy thud. Jack checked his emergency suit one last time, making sure the oxygen supply was full. He'd done spacewalks before, but entering a damaged ship was always dangerous. "Tom, keep the engines running. If anything looks wrong, we need to be ready to leave fast," Jack said, securing his helmet. "Understood, Captain." The ship's layout shows the stasis chamber is 2 decks down from the main airlock. I'm sending the map to your suit's display. Jack stepped through the airlock and into the luxury ship. His boots' magnetic locks kept him from floating away in the zero gravity. The emergency lights cast everything in a dim red glow, creating strange shadows in the empty corridors. "This place looks expensive," he muttered, passing walls decorated with what looked like real gold. Even damage. The ship screamed wealth and importance. Following Tom's directions, Jack made his way down. The damage got worse as he went deeper into the ship. Some doors were stuck, forcing him to use his emergency tools to pry them open. Finally, he reached the stasis chamber. What he saw made him stop in his tracks. 4 stasis pods lined the walls, each glowing with a different color. But it was what, or rather who, was inside them that caught his attention. In the first pod, floating in a blue light, was a being that looked like it was made of living crystal. Its surface caught the light and broke it into beautiful patterns, like a diamond that could move and change shape. "That's Blue," Tom's voice came through his helmet. "A member of the Crystal Kingdom. They communicate through light and vibrations." The second pod glowed with a soft pink light. Inside was what looked like a collection of flowering vines and petals, all moving slightly as if in a gentle breeze. The being seemed to be both plant and person at the same time. "Rose," Tom explained, "from the garden worlds. They can grow and shake plant matter at will." The third pod was different. It seemed to contain pure energy, swirling and dancing in patterns of yellow and white. The energy was contained in what looked like a special suit, keeping it from dispersing. "That Star, a pure energy being. They need special containment suits to interact with solid matter." The last pod held what appeared to be liquid metal, constantly shifting and flowing like quicksilver, occasionally forming different shapes before melting back into its liquid form. "And that's Luna, a fluid form entity. They can reshape themselves into almost anything." Jack checked the pod's control panels. The readings were all in red. "Tom, how long do we have?" "Power levels critical. Estimate 45 minutes before complete failure. The pods are designed for specific environmental needs. If they fail, they die," Jack finished grimly. He had to work fast. Just then, the crystal being, Blue, moved slightly in her pod. A pattern of lights danced across her surface, and suddenly Jack's suit translator picked up a message. "Help, please. Others first. They need more power." Jack felt his heart race. She was awake and trying to save the others before herself. In that moment, he knew he'd made the right choice coming here. "Tom, I need options. Can we transfer them to our cargo holds?" "Negative, Captain. The holds aren't equipped for their unique biological needs." Jack looked around the room, his mind racing. Then he saw it. The emergency power units meant for the escape pods. They weren't being used since the escape pods had been destroyed in whatever attack damaged the ship. "Tom, if I hook up the emergency power units to the stasis pods, can we move them as complete units?" There was a pause as the AI calculated. "Possible, but risky. You'll have less than 10 minutes per transfer." Jack started pulling out power cables. "Then we better work fast." As he began connecting the first power unit, he noticed all 4 beings had shifted slightly in their pods, turning towards him. Even in their weakened state, they were watching him work, their fate quite literally in his hands. The rescue was just beginning, and Jack had a feeling it was going to be the most challenging one of his life. Jack's hands moved quickly as he connected power cables to Blue's stasis pod. Sweat formed inside his helmet despite his suit's cooling system. Every second counted. "First connection complete," he announced, watching the pod's power level stabilize. "Tom, start the magnetic lift system." The pod rose slowly from its base. Blue's crystalline form sparkled more brightly, and new patterns of light danced across her surface. "She's trying to communicate," Tom said through the helmet speaker. The translation reads, "Thank you, but hurry. They come back." Jack froze. "They? Who comes back?" A loud bang echoed through the ship, making him jump. Tom's voice came fast and urgent. "Captain, long-range sensors detect 3 ships approaching. Energy signatures match known pirate vessels. How long do we have?" 15 minutes at most. Jack looked at the remaining 3 pods, his mind racing. 15 minutes to move 4 massive stasis pods through damaged corridors, and now pirates were coming. Just perfect. He turned to Rose's pod next, the plant being inside moving slightly as if sensing his presence. The vines inside the pod curled towards him, forming patterns he couldn't understand. "Tom, can you translate?" "She's offering to help. Plant beings can extend their roots to move objects. Even in stasis, she might be able to assist with transportation." Jack quickly connected the emergency power to Rose's pod. As soon as it stabilized, thin green vines emerged from small gaps in the pod's frame. They wrapped around both pods, creating a natural harness. "That's actually really helpful," Jack said, watching in amazement as Rose's vines carefully lifted both pods. Star's energy form pulsed brightly in the 3rd pod, sending out waves of yellow light. Tom translated. "She says she can power her own pod if you connect it to the others. They can share energy." "Smart thinking," Jack said, quickly making the connections. The pods were now linked in a chain, sharing power and supported by Rose's strong vines. Only Luna's pod remained. The liquid metal being had formed itself into a mirror image of Jack, as if trying to show she understood his plan. Her pod connected smoothly with the others, completing the chain. "Okay, Tom, guide us out. What's the fastest route back?" "Main corridor is blocked by debris. Recommend maintenance tunnels on level 3. Jack started moving the connected pods, watching in amazement as they worked together. Rose's vines guided them through tight corners, Star's energy provided extra power when needed, and Luna's liquid form shifted to help balance the weight distribution. Even Blue's crystal patterns provided light in dark sections. They were halfway to the Lucky Star when Tom's warning came. "Pirates entering weapon range in 5 minutes. Time to move faster," Jack muttered. He pushed the pods harder, knowing the maintenance tunnel would be the riskiest part. The tunnel was barely wide enough for 1 pod, let alone 4 connected ones. As they reached the tunnel entrance, Rose's vines suddenly retracted. Jack's heart sank. Had the power failed? But then the vines reappeared, weaving themselves into a new pattern. They weren't just carrying the pods anymore. They were creating a slide system along the tunnel walls. "Incredible," Jack breathed, watching as the vines formed a living conveyor belt. The pods began moving faster, gliding along the vine track. "Pirates launching boarding pods," Tom mourned. 3 minutes. They burst out of the maintenance tunnel just as the first explosions rocked the damaged ship. The Lucky Star's airlock was right ahead, its entrance glowing like a beacon of hope. "Almost there," Jack encouraged, though he wasn't sure if he was talking to the aliens or himself. The linked pods moved as one unit now, all 4 beings working in perfect harmony despite their weakened state. A final explosion shook the corridor behind them, just as they reached the airlock. Jack didn't look back. He didn't need to. He could feel the heat of the blast, hear the screech of tearing metal, but none of that mattered. They were almost safe, almost home. But getting them onto his ship was only half the battle. Now they had to outrun the pirates, and Jack had a feeling that would be the harder part. "Hold on tight," Jack yelled as the Lucky Star broke away from the damaged luxury ship. The 4 stasis pods were now secured in his cargo hold, each connected to the ship's power system. He'd barely finished the last connection when the first pirate ship opened fire. Red laser beams streaked past the viewport, missing them by inches. Jack's hands flew over the controls, making the ship dodge and weave. 3 pirate ships in pursuit, Tom reported. "Their weapons are charging for another volley." Jack grinned. "They might be bigger, but we're faster. Tom, divert power to the rear shields." Suddenly, blue light filled the cargo hold. Through the internal cameras, Jack saw Blue's crystalline form glowing brightly inside her pod. Strange patterns rippled across her surface. "Captain, Tom said, sounding surprised. Blue is somehow enhancing our sensor systems. I can now predict the pirates' firing patterns 3 seconds before they shoot. Perfect timing. Jack spun the ship hard right, avoiding a barrage of laser fire. Any other good news? As if answering him, thin green vines emerged from Rose's pod, spreading through the cargo hold. Where the last blast had scraped their hull, the vines grew into thick patches, sealing the damage. Rose is reinforcing our hull with organic matter, Tom explained. The patches are stronger than steel. Another hit rocked the ship. Alarms blared as their power levels dropped. We lost 30% power to the engines, Tom warned. Inside her pod, Star's energy form pulsed brightly. Suddenly, streams of pure energy flowed from her containment suit into the ship's power systems. Power levels rising. Tom announced, Star is feeding energy directly into our engines. Jack pushed the engines harder, watching the pirate ships slowly fall behind. But his relief was short-lived. Ahead of them loomed a massive asteroid field. We can't go around it, Jack said, checking their fuel levels. We'll have to go through. He dove the Lucky Star into the field of floating rocks. The pirate ships followed, their larger size making it harder for them to maneuver between the asteroids. A huge rock appeared directly in their path. Jack tried to turn, but they were going too fast. They were going to crash. Suddenly, silvery liquid streamed from Luna's pod through small maintenance tubes in the walls. The liquid metal spread across the ship's front, forming a smooth protective layer just as they scraped past the asteroid. Luna created an additional armor layer, Tom said. She's protecting our most vulnerable points. Working together, the 5 of them became an amazing team. Blue's enhanced sensors helped them spot dangers ahead. Rose's vines quickly repaired any damage. Star kept their power levels high, while Luna's liquid metal protected them from impacts. Jack weaved through the asteroid field like a dancer, using every trick he'd learned in his years of flying. Behind them, they heard explosions as one of the pirate ships hit an asteroid. 1 down, 2 to go, Jack muttered, sweat dripping down his face as he concentrated. The remaining pirates were still shooting, but their shots went wild in the chaos of the asteroid field. Another pirate ship clipped a rock and spun out of control. Last ship is still on our tail, Tom reported, but their weapons are damaged. Jack saw their chance. He spun the Lucky Star around a large asteroid, using its gravity to gain speed. The last pirate ship tried to follow but couldn't match their maneuver. It fell behind, growing smaller and smaller in their viewport until it disappeared from their sensors. Finally, Tom announced, "No pursuit detected. We're clear." Jack let out a long breath and slumped in his chair. They'd done it. They'd actually done it. Looking at the cargo hold camera, he saw all 4 pods glowing softly. Despite being in stasis, somehow they'd all worked together, combining their unique abilities to help them escape. Tom, set course for the nearest Federation station, Jack ordered. I think it's time we got our guests somewhere safe. But as the Lucky Star cruised through space, Jack didn't know that their adventure was far from over. Sometimes the most interesting part of a rescue isn't the rescue itself. It's what happens after. 2 days after their escape from the pirates, Jack sat in the Lucky Star's small medical bay, watching as Blue slowly emerged from her stasis pod. The crystal being's surface sparkled with patterns of light that the ship's translator converted into words. You risk your life for strangers. Blue's lights pulsed softly. In my culture, such actions are rare and deeply honored. Jack rubbed the back of his neck, feeling slightly embarrassed. Anyone would have helped. No, Blue's patterns glowed brighter. Many ships passed by our distress signal. Only you stopped. My people, the Crystal Collective, value adaptation above all else. For millions of years, we remained unchanged until we met humans. You showed us how to change, to grow. Before Jack could respond, movement from the second pod caught his attention. Rose's plant form was awakening, her flower-like features blooming in beautiful patterns. Vines gently extended from her pod, forming into a rough humanoid shape. In the garden worlds, Rose's voice came through like rustling leaves. We grow in one place, strong and steady. But humans, you plant your seeds across the stars, facing storms and droughts, yet never giving up. Such determination is attractive to us. Jack felt his face grow warm. He wasn't used to such direct compliments. The third pod hummed with energy as Star awakened. Her energy form danced within her containment suit, creating beautiful patterns of light and shadow. My people exist as pure energy. Star's voice came through like a musical note. We think in straight lines, in patterns that never change. But humans, her form brightened. Humans create. You make art, music, stories. You imagine things that never existed before. Such creativity is rare in the galaxy. Luna's pod was last to open. Her liquid metal form flowed out smoothly, shifting through various shapes before settling into a mirror image of Jack, but with a silvery sheen. We liquid ones can become anything, Luna spoke, her voice like flowing water. But we are predictable. We follow set patterns. Humans are wonderfully unpredictable. You do things that make no logical sense, yet somehow work perfectly. Jack listened as each of them explained more about their cultures. The Crystal Collective lived in vast cities of living crystal, sharing thoughts through light patterns. The garden worlds were entire planets of sentient plants, connected through vast root networks. Star's people danced through solar flares, while Luna's kind flowed through liquid metal oceans. There's something else you should know, Blue said, her patterns turning serious. We weren't just diplomatic representatives. We were chosen as potential peace negotiators. Rose's vines swayed gently. Our 4 species have been in a cold war for centuries, too different to understand each other. Until we met humans, Star added, her energy form pulsing softly. You adapt like the Crystal Collective, persist like the Garden Worlders, create like energy beings, and surprise like the liquid ones. Luna shifted her form slightly, looking more serious. That's why we were traveling together. To learn from humans, to find a way to bring peace. Jack sat back, taking it all in. So the pirates attacking you. Likely paid by those who profit from our conflicts. Blue's patterns showed anger. They didn't want peace talks to succeed. But they failed, Rose said, her flowers blooming brighter. Because of you, we not only survived, but learned something important. Star's energy swirled excitedly. We learned that working together, combining our different abilities, made us stronger. Just like we did during the chase, Luna added, her form rippling with amusement. Jack looked at each of them. These 4 incredible beings from vastly different worlds. In just a few days, they'd gone from strangers to a team that worked in perfect harmony. So what happens now? He asked. Blue's patterns formed what looked like a smile. Now we have a proposal for you, one that could change the galaxy forever. Jack didn't know it yet, but his rescue mission was about to turn into something much bigger than he could have imagined. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can spark the biggest changes. Jack stood at the Lucky Star's viewport, watching the Federation station grow larger as they approached. Behind him, he could hear his 4 passengers discussing something in their various languages, their voices mixing like an alien symphony. Captain, Tom's voice interrupted his thoughts. We have an incoming transmission from the station. They're quite excited about our arrival. Before Jack could ask why, Blue glided forward, her crystal form catching the starlight. Jack, before we dock, there's something important we must tell you. The other 3 gathered around. Rose's flowering form swayed gently, while Star's energy pulsed with nervous excitement. Luna's liquid metal surface rippled with what looked like anticipation. Remember how we explained our cultures? Blue's patterns flickered rapidly. There's one detail we haven't shared yet. Rose's vines formed a gentle pattern. In my world, when someone shows extraordinary courage and kindness to save another, it is seen as the highest form of courtship. Jack's eyes widened. Courtship. Star's energy form brightened. Among my people, sharing energy as we did during the chase is an ancient marriage ritual. You accepted my energy to power your ship, which in our customs, Luna continued, her silver surface forming into a more humanoid shape, means we are now bound by the oldest laws of my species. Working together in perfect harmony during crisis is how we choose life partners. And in the Crystal Collective, Blue added, her surface creating beautiful rainbow patterns, one who adapts to help others, who changes their path to save strangers, is considered the perfect mate. Jack sat down heavily in his pilot's chair. Are you all proposing to me? All four beings moved closer, each glowing or shifting in their own unique way. Yes, they said in unison, their voices blending together. But that's not possible, Jack stammered. I mean, we're all different species. That's exactly why it's perfect, Blue explained. Each of our worlds has ancient laws allowing unions with beings who prove themselves exceptional. Rose's flowers bloomed brighter. You united us during the rescue, made us work together for the first time in centuries. Do you realize what this means politically? Star's energy swirled excitedly. A human, bonded to representatives of four warring species. Luna shifted form, creating a small model of the galaxy. It would create an unbreakable alliance. Peace through union, as the old laws state. Jack looked at each of them in turn. In just a few days, he'd grown to care for these incredible beings. Each was beautiful in their own unique way. Each had shown courage, intelligence, and kindness. But marriage, to all four. I don't know what to say, he admitted. Say yes, came an unexpected voice. Tom, his ship's AI, spoke up. Captain, I've analyzed all their cultural laws. This could end centuries of conflict. Plus, my sensors indicate your biological responses show attraction to each of them. Tom, Jack felt his face grow hot. The AI continued. Additionally, the Federation's laws have no restrictions against interspecies marriages, especially for diplomatic purposes. Blue moved closer, her crystal form creating soothing patterns. We don't expect an answer right away. We know this is sudden. But we want you to know, Rose added softly, that our proposals come from genuine feeling, not just political convenience. Star pulsed gently. You showed us that differences can make us stronger. That being unique is beautiful. Luna finished, her surface reflecting the starlight like a mirror. Jack looked at the station ahead, then back at the four incredible beings who had changed his life in less than a week. His simple cargo run had turned into something that could reshape the galaxy. I need time to think, he said finally. They all nodded in understanding, each showing respect in their own way. Blue's patterns turned gentle, Rose's flowers closed slightly, Star's energy dimmed softly, and Luna's form settled into calm ripples. As the lucky star prepared to dock, Jack realized that sometimes the biggest decisions in life come when you least expect them. And sometimes, the craziest-sounding options might be exactly the right ones. 3 days passed on the Federation station while Jack thought about the proposals. He spent time with each of his unique companions, learning more about their worlds and cultures. Every conversation made his decision both easier and harder. On the morning of the 4th day, Jack called them all to the station's observation deck. The huge window showed thousands of stars, and below them, the lucky star sat in its docking bay, looking small but proud. I've made my decision, Jack said, looking at each of them. Blue's crystal form sparkled with anticipation. Rose's flowers turned toward him like he was sunlight. Star's energy danced nervously in her containment suit, and Luna's liquid metal surface rippled with expectation. First, I want you all to know something, he continued. When I answered that distress call, I wasn't trying to be a hero. I just did what felt right. But meeting all of you, it changed everything I thought I knew about life in the galaxy. He walked to the window, looking out at the stars. Blue, you taught me that strength comes from being willing to change. The crystal being glowed brightly at his words. Rose, You showed me that growing together makes us all stronger. The plant being's flowers bloomed with joy. Star, you proved that sharing what we have makes everything better. The energy being pulsed with happiness. And Luna, you demonstrated that being flexible doesn't mean losing who you are. The liquid metal being formed a perfect smile. Jack turned to face them all. The thing is, I'm just a cargo pilot. But maybe that's exactly what's needed. Someone ordinary who can help bridge the gaps between extraordinary beings. So, Blues Patterns asked the question they were all thinking. So, yes, Jack smiled. I accept all your proposals. The observation deck erupted in a display of alien joy. Blue's crystal form created a rainbow of light patterns. Rose's flowers burst into full bloom, releasing sweet scents. Star's energy form danced in complex patterns, and Luna shifted through 100 beautiful shades. Tom's voice came through the station's comm system. Captain, incoming transmission from the Federation Council. They're ecstatic. Apparently, this is exactly what they've been hoping for, a way to unite the 4 species through peaceful means. Tell them we'll need to do 4 different ceremonies, Jack said, each following the proper traditions of each culture. Already scheduled. Blues Patterns formed what looked like a calendar. The Crystal Collective Ceremony of Light Sharing. The Garden World's Ritual of Combined Growth. Rose's vines swayed happily. The Energy Being's Dance of Unity. Star swirled excitedly. And the Liquid One's Merging Ceremony. Luna finished, her surface shimmering. But first, Jack added with a grin, we need to add a human tradition. He pulled out 4 small boxes. On Earth, we give rings as a symbol of commitment. He opened the boxes to reveal 4 uniquely designed rings, a crystalline one that could merge with Blue's form, a living one that could grow with Rose, an energy-conducting one for Star's containment suit, and a liquid metal one that could flow with Luna's form. Their reaction showed him he'd made the right choice. Each ring was accepted with what he now recognized as love, expressed in 4 very different but equally beautiful ways. There's one more thing, Tom announced. The Federation Council is promoting you, Captain. They're assigning you as Chief Diplomatic Liaison between all 4 species. The Lucky Star will be upgraded for diplomatic missions. Jack laughed. So much for being just a cargo pilot. You were never just anything. Blues Patterns formed words of affection. You were always meant for more. Rose's flowers created a sweet melody. Our guiding star. Star pulsed warmly. Our perfect match. Luna flowed into a heart shape. Looking at his 4 alien fiancés, Jack realized that sometimes the best adventures in life come from simply deciding to help others. His simple act of answering a distress call hadn't just saved 4 lives. It had created a bridge between 4 civilizations. As they all watched the stars together, Jack knew their story was really just beginning. After all, they had a galaxy to unite, 4 weddings to plan, and a lifetime of adventures ahead of them. Sometimes the best fairy tales don't end with happily ever after. Sometimes they end with, and the real adventure was just beginning.